The Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Chicago Bears. This is who's in, who's out, and everything you need to know about this game. So, the 6-4 Steelers travel to Chicago to take on the 7-3 Chicago Bears, and this will be played 1 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow at Soldier Field in Chicago. But first, before I get more into who's in and who's out, like Aaron Rodgers injury updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel, turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also like this video. Now, let's get right back into it. So, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they had many injuries coming into this week's game, but today we got some clarity on some of them. So, let's start off with Cameron Hayward, because he appeared on the injury report for the Pittsburgh Steelers this week with an ankle injury, and he was listed as questionable for this week's game. And then today, he got fully cleared, and he has no game status and is ready to go. Same thing with Darius Slay. He had a concussion and was questionable for this week's game, but just today, the Pittsburgh Steelers updated their injury report, and he is now cleared to play as well. So, some other players who are questionable throughout the week were Cole Holcomb with an illness. He has been fully cleared, and then Isaac Seumalo with a pec, and some other players as well. The only players who are now truly up in the air are Alex Highsmith, because he's dealing with a pec injury as well. He is ruled doubtful for this week's game. But the most important one is Aaron Rodgers, because he suffered a left wrist injury in last week's game against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he left and never came back into the game at halftime. Mason Rudolph took over, and then we got an update that it is a fracture in his hand. And he's been practicing all week except for Wednesday, which was a DNP, but Thursday he was a limited participant, Friday was a limited participant, and he's now ruled questionable for this week's game. What does that mean? Well, it's really truly up in the air. If the Steelers feel as though that hand wrist injury is going to be able to keep him upright, and if he lands on it, it won't hurt him or damage him even more, then he will play. If not, Mason Rudolph will be ready to go and will be the starting quarterback, and that means Will Howard will be his backup. So, one more injury I want to talk on is Jaylen Warren, because he suffered a nasty ankle injury last week, or so it looked like, when his leg got twisted. He did not participate in Wednesday's practice, but a full participant on Friday, and he's been cleared. So, good thing that injury is nothing serious. So, those are the injury reports for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and now we move over to the Chicago Bears, because they're dealing with a whole lot of injuries for themselves as well, and so many game statuses. I'm going to start off with the middle linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds, because he's dealing with a groin injury, and he's ruled out. Linebacker TJ Edwards, with a hand and hamstring injury, he's been ruled out as well. Running back Travis Homer, with a hamstring and knee injury, he's been ruled out. Running back Roschon Johnson, with a thumb injury, he's been ruled out as well. And Noah Sewell, linebacker, with the elbow injury, has been ruled out. There's other players too who are listed as questionable. So, 4 more players. And that is Theo Bendit, offense tackle with quad injury, questionable. Jaquan Brisker, safety, shoulder injury, questionable. Cornerback Kyler Gordon, calf injury, questionable. And Jaylen Johnson, cornerback with a groin injury, listed as questionable as well. So those 4 players are up in the air, and it's going to be a game time decision if they play or not. So they have 5 players out, 4 players more injured and questionable. So we're going to have to wait and see for this week's game. But Chicago Bears will be heavily man down with injuries this week versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. So how do these injuries affect these teams? Well, if Aaron Rodgers is out, that's the biggest injury of them all. It doesn't matter how much injuries the Chicago Bears have. Your starting quarterback is your main position, and if he's out, that's the biggest deal. Because then the Steelers have to switch their whole offense game plan that they've been running this whole season just for Mason Rudolph for 1 week. So that's the biggest deal. But obviously, looking at the Chicago Bears, if you look at someone like Kyler Gordon or Jaylen Johnson, those are their best cornerbacks. So the Steelers should be able to throw the ball easily on the Chicago Bears if those players are out. And their linebackers and TJ Edwards and Tremaine Edmonds, their top guys are out as well, so they should be able to run the ball. So the defense for the Chicago Bears is already so bad. They have so many points per game, so many yardage. So the Steelers, it should be even easier for them. So even if Aaron Rodgers is out, they should still be able to do whatever they want on the offense side of the ball with those injuries. And then going back to the Steelers side of things, Alex Highsmith is a major piece. And Chicago Bears allow a lot of sacks. And Caleb Williams takes a lot of sacks. So Alex Highsmith being out and not being able to get to the quarterback can affect the Steelers in the edge rusher position in terms of the sack game because he's so good. Obviously, that means more time for Nick Herbig. So that's how it affects the game being played. Now, what's up with the game being played outside of the injuries? What does each team need to do? Well, we're going to start off with the Steelers once again. Because like I said, the Steelers need to run the ball because of the injuries to the Chicago Bears and just because of their game plan in general. When you look at when Jaylen Warren does good, the Steelers usually do good. When you look at when Kenneth Gainwell does good, the Steelers usually do good. So the Steelers need to run the football, especially with Mason Rudolph at quarterback. What he likes to do is push the ball down the field in terms of the vertical game. Aaron Rodgers hasn't been that type of quarterback this season, but that's Mason Rudolph's type of game. So what does that mean? More streak and go routes for DK Metcalf, Calvin Austin, and anyone else who's running down the field. Also, what the Steelers need to do is play Darnell Washington more than 40 snaps. When the Steelers play him more than 40 snaps, they have a record of, 10-0, I believe now? So they need to continue doing that. Play Darnell Washington a lot. He's been outstanding. He's proven he's the tight end number 1 on this team, and he continues to grow. So play Darnell Washington. That's what the Steelers need to do on offense. On defense, they just need to stop Caleb Williams from escaping the pockets. Because when he's on the move, he's deadly in terms of what he's able to do, in terms of finding his wide receivers and just creating space for himself as well in the run game. When he's in the pocket, he struggles a little bit more and he takes more sacks. So keep him in the pocket and allow him to make the mistakes. And the defense needs to just continue doing what they did last week in terms of being in the right spot at the right times and creating turnovers. There's going to be a lot of turnovers to be had. Now you just need to capitalize on them. Also, one thing I need to note is, like I said, play Darnell Washington, play James Pierre. Don't play Darius Slay, even though he's back from injury. I would say play James Pierre. He's been on a hot streak. He's been doing so amazing at the quarterback spot for filling in for people whenever they're injured and just moving to that position this season. Keep playing him. That's going to be the difference for the Steelers defense. If you don't, mistakes are going to be made. Anyway, let's move over to the Chicago Bears. What do they need to do? Well, get Caleb Williams out of the pockets. The Steelers have one of the best sack teams in the NFL, second in the NFL. So get him out of the pocket, get him on the run. That's what he does best. Have him find his wide receivers, tight end, his targets, everything. And then even the running backs as well. I would say get the running backs involved a lot, whether that's the run game or the screen game for the running backs, because the Steelers struggle against teams who do that. And that's their biggest weakness. The screen game, running backs, everything like that. So, also push the ball down the field. The Steelers have a lot of busted coverages. So get them confused, get them mixed up, and then Bears should be able to move the ball on the Steelers team. Will they be able to score in the red zone? That's a different story. Because the Steelers have always had that bend but don't break mentality. So, that's what the Bears need to do. And on defense, stop the run, stop the pass. Basically, hopefully you just create turnovers. You just have to hope that your defense creates turnovers because your defense is so injured. Anyway, my predictions for this game. Who wins it? Well, I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers win this game just because the Bears defense is trash. And then they're so injured as well on top of it. And I believe if it's a shootout, Bears do have a little bit of advantage, but I don't believe it will truly be like that because the Steelers have kind of fixed things a little bit, it seems like. I still think the Steelers win this game. It may be closer than we all think, but the Steelers win. And you have to take nothing away from the Chicago Bears, who has 7-3 in record. Anyway, that's my thoughts on this game. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But who wins? Is it the Steelers or is it the Bears? And also, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports, everything surrounding this team. injuries, everything, I've be covered all season long, just like this video. So stay tuned, share the video, like the video, and until next time, that's it for me. Till Monday's video, I'll see you guys all later. I'm out. Peace.